cage match, Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, steel cage match. I think this is their best match.
Really?
Yes. This was like, like, all right. I really liked that first one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that one is their best match, like from a wrestling standpoint, right? But this
I
one,
mean, if not for the fucking dud, I think that the barbed wire match is their best match.
yeah. So, I'm interested to see what you think when you see it, like, and kind
Okay.
of put yourself in the mind frame of like not knowing what the fuck was about to happen, because that I think that was a real big key, because the reason I like this, I was talking about it the other day. I was like, they were setting the whole thing up throughout the whole match, and like you had like kind of no idea why they were doing these things or whatever. There's a portion in the match where Moxley rips off the fucking turnbuckles pads and rips off the hooks of the shit, and then fish hooks Kenny with the joint in his mouth, and he takes it or whatever,
The
right?
turnbuckle. Okay.
Yes, like the fucking hook that's on the turnbuckle, and then
Yeah.
they leave it alone or whatever. And then there's just this kind of natural point where Moxley is on the almost on the apron or whatever, and then Kenny charges him with a V trigger, and then the cage breaks down or whatever, like, and it's like, but Kenny lands like on his dick on the freaking like the part of the cell, and it was like, all right, is he gonna like tear his entire groin or his knee or something? And it's like, it's a miracle that didn't happen. It was one of the coolest kind of looking visuals, like from how it all got set up. It was like, this is fucking spectacular, and it didn't cross my mind they were doing this even to open the cage until like after or whatever. But and I'm like,
Okay.
that's like, it's almost like remember when Shawn Michaels, like the whole deal with the cameraman
Hell in
and
the
that
Cell.
Hell in a Cell. It was like, all right, why
Right.
did they do that? Oh, it was to open the cage, kind of, but like it wasn't done in like this cheap way. They did lots of violent shit in here. They brought back the broken glass and a callback to
Oh my
their
God.
first match. Of course, these guys are fucking psychos. They started this match with basically, this whole thing started with Bryan Danielson was on commentary. Castagnoli and Wheeler attacked Kenny ringside, but the Bucks ran out. They fought them off. This ended with like Nick Jackson doing like a sprint dive on the Will Yuta and Claudio, and then like Omega and Moxley got in the cage. They started with the slugfest. They like there was like you can't escape stuff. They were pulling out barbed wire wrapped steel chairs, throwing it on each other, jumping on the steel chairs like on Moxley. And then Omega was jumping on it. Kenny had the John Moxley was whole back just fucking bleeding. Kenny's back ends up bleeding at a certain point. And basically, it was just like more violence, throwing each other into the cage, hitting each other back, or Moxley hitting them back with the barbed wire chair shots to the back. Danielson smiling and doing the sickos meme the whole time. And then, the Kataro Crusher body slam on the chair. Moxley, pretty much answered him, superplex him on the chairs the correct way. As I mentioned, he unscrewed that turnbuckle, used the wrench on his mouth, and kind of pulled it. The whole thing was great. And this was like, they were chanting "you sick fuck" at Moxley and all that stuff. As I mentioned, he grabbed like the bag, broken glass, because of course these guys they love it. Kenny gave him a net breaker, tried the one wing angel, but then it was a rear naked choke. The spot was the rear naked choke, but Kenny picks him up, kind of falls back. Moxley lands on the glass, and it was just like, like Kenny like rolled through the pile driver attempt, gave him the knee. For the whole crowd's going fucking crazy. They get to their feet, huge striking battle. Like, these dudes really slapping each other in the face and shit. And I think Kenny kind of caught him tough at one of them for real. Then they do that whole V trigger thing where they go through the cage, essentially, and that shit is like, it was just like, I can't believe he didn't get injured. I was in awe at the spot, and then it was just like, what the fuck is going on here? And then, Moxley recovered first. He got back in and grabbed the screwdriver at the ringside, and he was going after Kenny with it. But all of a sudden, Don Callis gets in the cage, grabs it out of his hand, essentially. Kenny retakes control, ends up getting him in position for the one-wing angel, gives him the one-wing angel, 1, 2, and then Don Callis comes out the corner like a fucking scoundrel, stabs Kenny Omega in the head, turns on him to the shock of the audience. That crowd, it just went silent. Like, it was like, I can't believe this happened. And, with a big, like, gasp, essentially. And it was like, holy shit. Everybody's, like, kind of looking at Don like, what the fuck are you doing? There's no real embrace at all between Callis and Moxley or anything. But from there, Moxley rolls on top of him, pins him 1, 2, 3, and, he leaves. And then Callis, we thought he was going to hit him again with a screwdriver, but he didn't. He whispers something to him, kisses him on his cheek, throws him down. Callis walks off. Super angle at the end. Red hot. Crowd insane. Great match. Of course, a little finish with the angle there and all that, but I would take this. I'll take this 10 out of 10. Like I'll take this like 10 days out the week. I'm going 4 3/4 on this. And I thought this was a super angle at the end of the show, and Don's gonna speak next week, and he's turned on Kenny finally. It's finally happened, and what that clears the door to do.
What?
Look, if you want to be pushed as a babyface, top babyface world champion, you can't have Don Callis next to you.
Oh yeah. So, I've wanted this for years now. I've wanted Don Callis away from Kenny Omega. I wanted him to screw him so they can pull the trigger so they can do the babyface thing. I wanted that for years. So I'm happy that happened. I
hate to see family go out like this.
Say again?
I hate to see family go out like this.
Yeah, if you say so. But yeah, man. Like, I'm just waiting. I've been waiting for years for like the I said this to you, I think off air. Was this even 2 months ago? And I was like, look, man. Do you remember? I was like, do you remember like the
I'll say
the
this.
Grand Slam like running V trigger that Omega gave Danielson? I told you like. I think less than 2 months ago, like, bro, I wanted Kenny Omega to hit Callis one of them shits for years, and now I have my opportunity. When he blasts this nigga with that knee, I am going to go into another realm of existence for the happiness that I'm going to that's going to wash over me. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, man, like. The Callis stuff was so overbearing, and it made me not dislike, but like it made me not enjoy Kenny Omega as much because the shit was so annoying. And like now it's gone, and we're on to better days, much better days.
I love the Callis and Kenny pairing, and I think like all good things, you gotta let it run its course after a while. And, if there's a certain way you want to go with Kenny and what makes sense, this is always like, I called it years ago. I was like, they're going to use, like, they put Callis there with them, and they're going to springboard him off of Callis, and it's going to be big. And
so do you think Callis goes with Ospreay, or do you think he goes with MJF?
I don't think he goes with MJF. But as far as like, I think one person to not forget in all this is Takeshita. The person that he's been recruiting has been Takeshita. Takeshita also got his head busted by the BCC. Does Don and Takeshita, like, was he really recruiting him for the BCC? Who knows? Are they going there? This whole thing, seems like there's an Ibushi setup waiting to happen, to come in to even the sides. Of course, Hangman's due to come back at some point, but this whole thing with Don, I think this leads to Kenny versus Takeshita at some point, and that's going to be
off the charts,
sensational. And it's I fully expect the promo to be like, yeah, you're not who you say you are no more. I see the weakness in you, and like a good carny scoundrel, I done found some new hotness, essentially. Don and Jay White would be cursed. Yuck. But I think this whole thing's gonna be great, and I'm looking forward to taking a ride, and can't wait to see where it goes. But yeah, like as far as like there was something else that I wanted to mention, but
Reynolds still blackmailing Matt Jackson.
I think that's happening on BTE, and it's pretty funny. But Kenny ended up giving an interview that was after the show that was basically saying, I can't trust, I can't trust my friends, I can't trust my family, and it was like some people were kind of like decoding that to be like he knows
trust your lover,
right? Like that he knows like the Bucks, like some people were saying like yeah he knows. So we'll see where it goes, but pretty excited.
I mean, he should know. Like no, like these BTE gives you like the impression, like a more fleshed out impression. These are 3-dimensional characters that are real people. He's gone from airport to airport, stop to stop, met people all across the world, and no one has asked him, talked to him about the part where Matt gave the blessing for him to go out there and get his head lariated off. Like,
no, we're all good fans. We wouldn't say no shit like that to him.
No, but we're not. But that's why it's like so unreasonable that it's like, oh, he his whole entire time over now like 2 fucking years he hasn't seen what happened. It's like, and also he said he was going to review it eventually anyway. It's like, oh, not why will you now get around to it? What the fuck?
The elite fans don't snitch. Yeah. They don't benefit us. Like Tony Khan says, what do we bet? What do we gain from that? But yeah, like this is all set up.
I would say, what do you gain from that? Like, I don't know, maybe people resolving their conflicts like adults. But then again, Hangman, instead of saying I want to leave the group, he said, "Hey, let me screw these dudes out of a title shot." So I forgot they don't handle these things like adults.
Yeah.
So never mind, my bad.
But as far as like where it's going at the pay-per-view, I don't know. I don't know if it's a group combat match. I feel like it's Kenny versus Takeshi at the pay-per-view. Personally, I could be wrong, but there's a lot of parts here. Good news: Matt Jackson is cleared, so he's got some kind of good blessing from the healing, whatever the fuck he's done to get himself back right. It could be anarchy in the arena, as Bill Mafia is saying. But Don Callis got to feel it. He's got to feel one of the greatest V-triggers of all time. I will say this though. I remember what I was gonna say. The Don Callis turn on Kenny, light years ahead of the Gato turn on Okada. My God, do you remember that chair shot that Gato gave Okada?
So where do you rank it? So you put it? Do you put it? Okay, you put it above that, but do you put it above Money in the Bank when Heyman screwed over Punk? Because that was incredible.
I loved you, and he fucking threw the fucking
and then he bust that man head with that ladder on accident too. So he got juice with it.
Well, he got the juice here too. So like, I would say it's on par with that for sure.
That's an all timer then.
Yeah, like it's just like I think everyone was so shocked. This is like one of the most shocking things, like I think in the promotion's history.
It ain't shocking to me because think about it. How did their last match, or sorry, not the last match, but like their second match in AEW?
Yeah, Dom.
All right, I used to say that like outside of the first match, every match has had fucking fuck finishes, or not fuck finishes, but like interference and all of them. So it's like, oh, okay, they're doing another one of those. Okay.
Yep.
But I'm happy because look, get him away.
So I don't know where Don goes from here, but
hell.
He's got a great interview coming, I imagine, on Wednesday. So I'll be there, ready to hate, because Don has made an enemy of me now.
One thing I will say is though, like when they do the interview, I'm pretty sure when Kenny Omega's music hits and he shows up, there will not be Matt Jackson talking about how Don Callis helped his relationship with his father, so please don't murder him. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that was not great.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Is Callis going to the E?
stupid. Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely.
It's time for me to go. I had that sit down talk with Tony, and I told him like I got family over there, and that's where I tend to go. Okay, good riddance. Kira rocks, Callis.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, but he got to feel it. He done made an enemy of me now, and you know, it's fuck down cows for life now. So
Welcome,
you
welcome to
know,
the members.
you
I've been here for
stupid.
years.
You stupid. Don not only turned on Kenny, he turned on all of us. You know, so Don
I'm
Callis,
just
you got to
glad
feel it.
I'm just glad that you finally see it through my eyes for all these years. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been saying, hey man, I'm sick of this shit. I can't wait for this to happen, and I can't wait for this man to get his jaw jacked with a knee. I can't wait.
He done betrayed my dog. You know,
It's just a matter of time.
this is sad, man. This is bad, man. This is bad. I didn't want to see this, but now that we're here, you know, it's time to ride on our enemies, and our enemies is Don Callis.